And Miami in the lead. White going long to Hill. Out of bounds at the 5-yard line. A great throw and a perfect catch.
Welcome to BLEAV in the Cowboys podcast. I'm Paul Catalina alongside former Cowboys quarterback and punter Danny White. And we're, of course, brought to you by Bet Online. Bet Online back and better than ever. All eyes are on the Gridironers. Teams are back on to start another football season. As always, Bet Online is your number one spot for all the pro and college football action this season. With a new and updated site interface, even more odds, props, and contests, Bet Online continues to be the number one source for everything football. So head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up and receive your 100% welcome bonus. That's your double initial deposit just for signing up. Don't forget to use promo code NFL100. Bet Online, the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. Bet Online, your online sportsbook experts. And Danny, the Cowboys in week, well, we have so much to talk about that's happened since last Thursday. First of all, a fantastic game to open the season. You were there covering it and broadcasting it. Your thoughts on what a fantastic game to open the season, even though it did not work out in the Cowboys' favor?
Well, it was a great game, and I actually predicted before the game that the Cowboys, to have a chance of winning that game, were going to have to throw the ball on every down, and that Dak would have to throw 60 passes. Well, he only threw 58, so I was wrong there. But it was still almost throwing the ball on every down. Zeke rarely got the ball. He had no impact in the game. The running game was non-existent. And that's just not going to win very many games. There are certain things that certain principles of football that don't ever go away. The football gods have mandated that you have a balanced attack on offense, basically, to have any kind of long-term success. And I don't care if the Cowboys had won that game. I would still be concerned with the lack of a running game going forward. So as close as they came, I think it was a great effort and a great football game to watch for the viewers. But the Cowboys have got to be concerned with putting that much on Dak, and they've got to balance that out somehow. And now with the loss of our right tackle and the loss of even more recently Tank Lawrence on defense, things are not going the right way for the Cowboys right now.
No, and as fantastic and as exciting as a game as it was, the fact that the optimistic way to look at it would be the Bucs defense is just so good, they weren't going to run the ball. Okay, that's true, but against the Chargers this week, they better have some sort of running game, because as prolific as Dak might be, you cannot win many games throwing 60 passes. You might win one here and there, but it's not going to be something you can consistently do. Like you said, the football gods, I like how you said that. The football gods mandate balance. And they were not balanced last week, maybe out of necessity, which maybe meant they probably weren't going to win that game in the first place if they couldn't be balanced.
Well, yeah, and the whole football gods thing, and I love talking about this because there's only so much that you can control in the game of football. The things that you can't control, I attribute to the football gods. Things like injuries, things like breaks, just getting the breaks in a game, ball bouncing a certain way, getting the calls, the officials' calls. Well, they all have been going against the Cowboys, and that's why I say the trend for the Cowboys is not good right now, because the call at the end of the game, the offensive pass interference call could have gone. They easily could have made that call against the Bucs, and then the Cowboys would have won that game. Well, they didn't get the call. And there were a lot of things that happened earlier in the game that I attribute to the football gods. Now La'el Collins losing him and bringing in a young Terrence Steele to play right tackle, I'm not sure that's still going to happen. I'm not sure that they don't move some people around and someone else plays there. We'll see. But then losing Tank Lawrence to an injury that didn't even happen in the game. This didn't slow him down. Not only did the Cowboys not get any sacks on Tom Brady, they didn't get close to him. I think I heard this morning that there was one pressure in the entire game where they even got close to Tom Brady. That's not going to work. And that was with Tank Lawrence. Now they're not going to have him for several weeks. We don't know exactly how long, but So the football gods are not on the Cowboys sideline right now. They're over on the other side of the field. And this will be a great test. I think if the Cowboys can figure out a way to win this game this week, it'll be a major boost towards turning this thing around.
And they also won't have Randy Gregory more than likely this week unless he can test out of the COVID protocol. So your two best pass rushers are out, and you didn't do that well the week before. So that's a huge thing for the Cowboys this week because, Terrell Basham and Dorrance Armstrong, I don't know if that's really doing anything for everybody when it comes down to getting pressure on Justin Herbert, who had a really good week last week against a defensive line that's a lot deeper than the Cowboys is right now in Washington. And you mentioned Lyle Collins being out for 5 games, and they're not going to appeal. That appeal's probably not going anywhere. From what I've been told by a couple people that 5 games might be the appeal. Like they might have appealed it down to 5 because he missed so many drug tests. So he's not going to be with the Cowboys for a few weeks. I wonder how short of a leash Terrence Steele really has, given the Cowboys' past problems at swing tackle. If there's any kind of trouble on Sunday, do you just kick Zach Martin out and put Connor McGovern in at right guard?
Yeah, that's exactly what you do. And I'm sure they're doing that. They're working on that in practice. They're working on that transition even. They'll run one play with Zach at right guard. Then the next play, they'll run him a right tackle and they'll run in a right guard. And so I'm sure the leash is going to be short, I would think. I'm not in the coaches' meetings, so I don't know for sure, but I just don't think they're in a position to be able to let it go very far and take the chance on Dak getting hit, taking any kind of pressure, because right now the entire load of the offense is on him.
Yeah, and we're not too far removed, even though it's a different coaching staff, from the infamous Chaz Green game where Tyron Smith was out. They put in Chaz Green at left tackle, and Adrian Claiborne made himself $5 million by having a career game that day. And so they don't need to go through that again. Even Terrence Steele or whoever they're going to put out there at right tackle, Ty Nasheki or whoever it's going to be, if they struggle at all, I mean, you've got Zach Martin can play anywhere on the line. I mean, I'm sure if you worked him enough, he'd be an effective tight end. He's that kind of a workhorse and a player. He's just the best offensive lineman that they have. So I don't know why you'd waste any time if there's any struggles early, and especially Dak coming off the injuries that he's coming off of.
Right. And the thing people need to understand is it's a lot easier to sub in a guard than it is a tackle. To step in and play tackle where you've got your outside shoulder is free and you're getting no help unless you put a tight end there or a running back to chip whoever's rushing outside, you're out there on an island, at least to one side. And so it just makes so much more sense to put your proven veteran, your best offensive lineman at tackle and then sub in somebody at guard, because that guard is going to be surrounded, at least be sandwiched between 2 guys on either side of him that are going to be able to help him. A lot easier to play guard than it is tackle.
I wanted to ask you about this. The Cowboys, obviously that game was fantastic. I mean, if you're watching as just a fan of neither team, I mean, this is the best opening night you can think of. And the Cowboys came back and took the lead. Of course, they gave Tom Brady 1 minute and 24 seconds just to have to kick a field goal. There's no degree of difficulty there for him at all. I mean, that's old hat for him. He, make it start raining or something. That would have made it hard for Tom Brady. But I've always thought that the simplest way to tell if a team is good or not is good teams in that situation win the game on either side. So if the Cowboys were good with 1 minute and 24 seconds left, if they were really good already and ready to compete, they would have found a way to win that game. The teams that aren't ready just don't win those. And I think the Cowboys have a lot of good things going about them, but I don't think they're ready yet to be a true primetime player.
Well, back to the football gods.
Yeah.
There's more to that And you're making a great point, Paul. I mean, there's more to that than people realize. It was almost as if on Thursday night, Tom Brady knew that they were going to get a break. Somehow, something was going to happen. I mean, when he took the field, he ran out there like, oh, well, ho-hum, here we go again. Something's going to happen. Whether I make it happen, whether somebody else on the team makes it happen, or whether the football gods make it happen, that air of confidence shows. I mean, especially to somebody who's played the game and been around it for a long time, like I have. You just watch a guy by his body language, his facial expressions. You can tell a lot. And I see that in Tom Brady. I don't see it in Dak Prescott. Dak's just out there doing everything he can to win a football game. And he's so consumed with that he doesn't ever seem to step back and just let things come to him. And you watch Brady, and it's just like as if, well, somebody will make a play. You know, it might be me, it might be somebody else, it might be the officials, it might be, but something's going to happen. And it does. And you're right. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the world champions. And until somebody knocks them off of that perch, they're going to continue to be the defending world champions. And with that goes this air of confidence, and they certainly have it right now.
Is part of it that Dak, and I think this was the curse of Tony Romo in that of his career, was that he had to do so much to keep the Cowboys in the game because they were deficient at just the right amount of spots to keep them from being next level. That, again, it was always this, like, Romo was doing fantastic things all the time and sometimes would make tragic mistakes because he was just trying to make something happen. Dak is, you just said, he's always trying to make something happen. If the rest of the team got better around them, could they have been more, Tony Romo have been more confident? Could Dak then in turn become more confident and relax a little bit out there?
No, absolutely. I mean, absolutely. The problem with the team for the last 20 years has not been deficiency at one position or another, or the quarterback not getting it done, or the running back not getting it done. It's been the complementary effect of having a quarterback that fits the offensive philosophy, okay, and where the strengths and the weaknesses of the offense are. And you can go back through history and look at quarterbacks who won Super Bowls who were not necessarily what we think of as great quarterbacks. Their stats aren't, in the top 5 in the history of the NFL and all that, but they complemented their offense. They did what they needed to do. I remember when Jim McMahon was a quarterback of the Bears. He would make a big play now and then when they needed it, but for the most, and he had Walter Payton in the backfield, but for the most part, that defense, 84, 85, that defense of the Bears was going to win games. If you just didn't go out and lose the game, and he complimented that team by not making mistakes. It wasn't by going out and winning games. Right now, the Cowboys are looking to Dak Prescott to go out and win games, and they're putting it all on him. And I don't think there's a quarterback ever in the history of the game that could carry the load that they're asking him to carry right now and win a championship. So it's not going to happen until they get the running game going, they get the defense going, they get special teams. Everything has to, and then the quarterback steps in and says, okay, what do I need to do? Do I need to make plays? Do I need to be aggressive? Do I need to be proactive? Or do I need to just be safe, not turn the ball over, and let the defense, let the running game win games for us? And the coaches need to understand that. They need to look at their quarterback and see what they've got and say, what do we need to surround him with in order for this team to be successful? First of all, he has to be successful, and then the offense has to, then the team, and it goes from there. So it's a real puzzle of putting a team together and finding just the right pieces that all match each other. And then the final piece is that quarterback. Everybody wants to start with the quarterback. I say you end with the quarterback and make sure that he fits what the rest of the team is doing.
That's kind of the tragic thing of today's NFL, isn't it? That everybody wants you to get a quarterback first. The fans want a quarterback now, but it doesn't do you any good if you don't have offensive linemen to keep him from getting hit 1,000 times. It doesn't do any good if you have a defense that isn't going to get stopped so that he doesn't have to score on every drive. It's hard to ask a guy to go out there and say, okay, look, we're going to have 12 offensive possessions today. You need to score on 9 of them. Yeah. Field goals or touchdowns so that we're sure. But that you can't do that. It's the NFL. The other team's good too.
Well, you've got a great situation in the NFL right now to illustrate your point. Trevor Lawrence is a good quarterback. Troy Aikman was a good quarterback in 1989. Horrendous year. Fortunately, Troy was strong enough mentally, physically, to take the beating and go on to have a very, very successful career. Some quarterbacks are not that strong. You never know about a guy, and they don't measure the size of a player's heart. What's going on in his head. At the combine, there's no way to do it. And some of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of the game, we'll never know about. And that's unfortunate because they never had a chance because of the team around him. So we're looking now at a guy like Trevor Lawrence that I think it's going to be interesting to watch how he responds because he doesn't have a very good team around him. He's got a coach that's never coached in the NFL. He's got receivers that can't get separation, so he's having to throw into tight coverage, and he's having to do it with guys chasing him. He's having to do it on the run. He very rarely gets to set his feet and throw the ball. Well, he's in a tough situation. There are other quarterbacks, Zach Wilson. I mean, there are guys that are in much better situations right now, and the Cowboys are going to face one this week in his second year. Mm-hmm. And they're starting to build a team around him. So the strategy now is becoming in the NFL, get your quarterback, get your running back. You got 5 years. Okay, to build a team around them before you have to pay them $50 million a year and sign that big contract. And that's kind of the strategy. That's kind of the philosophy of where everybody's going right now with building great football teams.
Well, and if you look at the Chiefs, they had Alex Smith already, and then not really lucked. I mean, but Patrick Mahomes dropped to them, and they said, hey, let's go get him. So they got a Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes, and now they're paying him a bunch of money. And they may get a few more, but there are going to be some things in the back end that happen salary cap-wise. I just think about the Cowboys teams from the 70s in that it was different in a different league, but they were built around, the quarterback kind of came in. They got Roger Staubach on layaway. He was in the Naval Academy. So they got him later, and then when he retired and you took over, the team was built already around you. You didn't have to hope that the left guard was going to be good or that there were just guys everywhere. You had that defense, which was fantastic, full of guys. So it was easier for you to step in and know that, if I have a bad day, that's not the end of this thing. I think that's unfortunate for guys like Trevor Lawrence, guys like Dak Prescott. If Dak has a bad day, I mean, can they rely on the Cowboys to win it on defense right now? They absolutely can't.
No. And that's a great analogy. I mean, Roger filled that gap and he provided what that team needed to win Super Bowls. And then I inherited that team, and it was a great team. You're right. And I tried to be the quarterback that I thought they needed. And we went straight to 3 NFC championship games and had in those 5 years, we're in 10 playoff games. That's a pretty good record. And it's because everybody fit in the system. And that's what Tom Landry was a master of. And that is finding players that fit his philosophy. And then he would find 3 or 4 or 5 that, it was all based on hard work and study and preparation. And, it wasn't go out and get the biggest, strongest, fastest athlete you can and get enough of those guys and you'll win. No, it wasn't. It was, we didn't have a team that had great athletes on it. I mean, you can go down the list of guys, and Drew Pearson just went into the Hall of Fame, and Cliff Harris, free agents Okay, they were undrafted free agents who came to the team, but they fit the philosophy. They were hardworking guys who hated to lose. They fit Tom Landry's philosophy, and then Coach Landry would make guys like Leroy and Roger, make them captains and then empower them. This formula worked for the Cowboys in the 70s and the early 80s, and then started to kind of fall apart in the late 80s. Built it back again in the 90s. And you would see John Madden with the Raiders. Very different philosophy. Go out and get the biggest, strongest, fastest guys you can find. I don't care what they do on Saturday night. All I care about is show up on Sunday and play hard, and we'll win games. And it worked because he got guys that fit his philosophy. Landry's was very different, but he also got players, the kind of people that fit his philosophy, and that worked. So it's all a matter of people fitting in, and that's when you get this chemistry, this synergy going, and man, it's a beautiful thing to be a part of.
That's what Bill Belichick has done so well, is that he's figured out the way to navigate the modern NFL and make it the way that he knows that this fits. And I don't think it's going to be too long before they win again. I mean, I know that like you hit on Tom Brady in the 6th round, and that's a miracle. The greatest quarterback who maybe ever played was at that level, but part of that was he fit the philosophy that he got Bill Belichick. He got it. You didn't have to. Bill Belichick didn't have to spend time explaining to Tom Brady, this is why we do things. Just ride with me this way, and we'll do it. And then the other players got it and bought in. And I think that there's too many times in the NFL, the Cowboys' biggest problem to me is that Jerry Jones is an unbelievable owner when it talks about building the franchise and the name and the fact that everything the Cowboys have is great. But his organizational philosophy as far as building a team is not one philosophy. It is a mishmash of a lot of people's different philosophies that he takes the best parts. It's a buffet instead of a 4-course 5-star meal.
Yeah, well, a couple of things there. Jerry Jones is brilliant at building a brand, at creating value. And I'll use the example of Hard Knocks, okay? Great at building the brand. The Thanksgiving Day game, the America's team image, okay? That wasn't necessarily Jerry Jones, but that was Tex Schramm. Okay, those are the marketing people. And that does great things for building the brand. It doesn't necessarily do a great thing for building a team. Hard Knocks did nothing to make the Dallas Cowboys any better as a football team. And they're not going to win any games because they were on Hard Knocks. But it's exposure for the brand, and the value of the organization keeps going up and up and up. So where are the priorities? Are they in building the brand, or are they in winning Super Bowls? And you can say one leads to the other, but I don't think building the brand does anything for winning Super Bowls. And you also mentioned Tom Brady. Is Tom Brady the greatest athlete to ever play the quarterback position? No. Of course not. He can't run. And that's almost a blessing for him, because it has forced him to be great in the pocket. And as long as he stays in the pocket, he's not going to get hit. He's not going to get injured, and he can play till he's 50. And that's the greatness of Tom Brady, is that he has fit. He made it a fit in New England, where he was the quarterback that team needed to win Super Bowls, to win championships. He has done it again in Tampa. It just so happens that what Tampa needed and what New England needed as a quarterback were the same thing. They were Tom Brady. Everybody else did their job, and all Tom Brady has to do is orchestrate the defense, run the offense, and he is maybe the best that's ever played at orchestrating a defense. That I'll give you. I don't know that he's the greatest athlete. In fact, I know he's not. But that's not what it takes to win championships as a quarterback. And I think we're all starting to realize that it's not being a great athlete. It's being the quarterback that team needs at that time to win a championship.
Yeah, I mean, I can give you a list of guys who are great athletes and were good quarterbacks for a stretch, but they don't have a lot of rings, if any. No. Look, and I covered Robert Griffin here when he was in high school and college, and he's one of the greatest pure athletes I've ever seen. He's an Olympic level. He could have been an Olympic hurdler if he went down that route, but he became a quarterback. But his problem was he was a running quarterback and not a quarterback who runs, and was built like a hurdler. Well, the guys who hit you are built like shot putters, and that's a bit of a different thing, So there's a toll that comes with it, and your point. I love hearing you talk about it, just because of so many teams do things backwards, and they don't. They're trying to build this. Oh, like we've got this great athlete at quarterback. Well, all right, it's like trying to hold a firecracker in your hand. Sometimes, like you're gonna get burned.
It's the tortoise and the hare kind of a philosophy, you get all these great players, and then Lamar Jackson, he may be the first one to break the mold, but Cam Newton, guys like, there's never been a physically more gifted athlete to play the position than Cam Newton. And that's one aspect of the game, and that would be a great gift to have. But what it does is when you have that, you tend to lean on it, and you don't become the quarterback model that we know it takes. And Cam Newton, here's Cam Newton just flying by everybody, and Lamar Jackson flying by, and old Tom Brady just kind of plugging away and winning championships year in and year out. And sooner or later, we're going to figure it out that you don't start with a quarterback, you end with a quarterback, but you got to have everything else, or the greatest Superman at quarterback. And that's the magic of football and the football gods. And I'm going to go back to that, because they have mandated that it takes this and this and this. It's not one guy. It's the best team that wins championships, not the team with the best quarterback.
That is true more often than not. All right, before we wrap up, the Chargers this week, they've got a young quarterback in Justin Herbert who's really exciting, big arm, and a guy who's learning to live in the pocket very well. Had a great game against Washington, who plays tonight against New York, another game Cowboys fans will watch with great interest, because one of those teams is going to be 0-2 and behind the eight ball in the division race. I was watching too many California recall news things, I guess, over the weekend, Danny. But the Chargers look like an improved team. Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, they look like they have a lot of weapons and are going to be dangerous this year.
Well, I agree. And you mentioned tonight's game. This will be a huge interest to Cowboy fans watching this game tonight between the Redskins. There I go. Yeah. The football team. How long does it take to come up with a name for a football team?
I'm worried they're going to keep it football team.
Those of us who actually have to announce games, anyway, the Washington football team against the New York Giants, that's going to be fun to watch for Cowboy fans. And I'm going to watch it with a lot of interest, knowing that we have to play both of those guys twice. And the Chargers are one of those teams, and they're not the San Diego Chargers, the Los Angeles Chargers. Right. That's something else that the over-under is probably going to be about 10 on me calling them the San Diego Chargers on Sunday. Mm-hmm. So we'll have to see how that goes. I'm working on it. I'm practicing it. I'm sitting in my study, kind of just practicing saying Los Angeles Chargers. Mm-hmm. But to answer your point, it's a good one. They are in that process. They've got Justin Herbert, and in 4 more years, they're going to have to pay him a ton of money, and they're going to be in that where the Cowboys are now, where 4 guys, if you add Tank, but the quarterback, the receiver, the running back are eating up about half of your salary cap. Mm-hmm. And now it's harder to build that team, to put that team together around the quarterback that you need. And that's why it's hard to start with a quarterback. And then I said Lamar Jackson might be the guy that breaks the mold of a running quarterback winning a championship, but we'll see. I'm still old school enough that I'm going to hang on to beliefs that Tom Brady will win another one before he does.
Yeah, well, given what we saw the other night, I'm not. Yeah. I'm not ever gonna bet against Tom Brady. He could sit out and try to come back when he's 60. But like, you guys better watch out for the 60-year-old man. He's figured something out. But it should be a good one on Sunday, Cowboys and Chargers. And I do worry about the pass rush, Danny. I think that might be the thing that gets the Cowboys, given the fact that he was, I believe, 14 of 18 or 15 of 18 on third downs against Washington the other day. And Washington's front four is a front four that every team in the league would want. All 32 would want that front four. And Herbert avoided them very well.
Yeah, he did a nice job against that great defense. And they're coming in healthy. Tonight they'll play the Giants, and they're healthy. And it's a little bit scary right now. And what we're looking at with the Cowboys is the pass rush is going backwards as we're losing guys. We lose our best pass rusher. We lose our next best pass rusher. And now who does that affect? Mostly the secondary, which is really struggling as they're trying to build the secondary and find the right guys back there. And Justin Herbert, he may be young, but he's going to sit back there and somebody's going to be open. And if you don't get to him somehow, I think the Cowboys are going to have to blitz more, which puts more pressure. And, with a young quarterback, you want to blitz him anyway. So I see the Cowboys coming into this game blitzing more, but the secondary better be ready for it, and it better be coordinated between the blitz and the secondary, or it could be a big night for one Justin Herbert.
Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode of the BLEAV the Cowboys podcast. Of course, you can catch Danny on the broadcast on Compass Media Networks every weekend as the Cowboys roll through the season. Please like and subscribe wherever you get your podcast, and like and subscribe if you're watching us on YouTube right now. I'm Paul Catalina alongside Danny White. Have a great football weekend, everybody.